We are right into 2023, and it's time for Dawn of DCU, which feels like it's kicking off with Lazarus Planet from Mark Waid. We got the first issue, Lazarus Planet Alpha, with Ricardo Federici on art. And here talking to me about that is Weird Science Jim. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing great, Wes. I'm ready to kick into a better 2023, get things on a positive note. I mean, seriously, let's get going.
So I came into this comic book with no expectations whatsoever. I have event fatigue. I really liked the Mark Waid Batman Superman World's Finest. I thought Batman versus Robin was pretty good, but not quite that good. So I didn't really expect much for this comic book, and I was kind of blown away. I thought this was really, really good, Jim.
Yeah, and the thing about the event fatigue is it's real. I mean, people talk about it all the time, but at this moment, I was saying, I don't know that we need another event, but like you said, I've been enjoying World's Finest, and Mark Waid stuff has been hitting better than a lot. So I was actually pretty hyped up for this, and even got more hyped up as I saw people talking about it and reviews for it coming towards me actually reading it myself.
You know what's crazy? What I think was really smart, and I think you and I have a small disagreement on this, is this is supposed to be very dark. We have had too many dark events from DC Comics, Dark Knights, Death Metal, Dark Crisis, and all that stuff. But it's kind of jarring when you open it up, and it's not one of those DC premier artists. It's Ricardo Federici. He's got a little bit of a different style, a little bit more pencil-heavy, kind of gritty, works really well with fantasy storytelling. Yeah, I don't know that Federici is a great artist for like a Superman, like traditional Superman superhero story, but for this story, there's something different going on. It's a little bit darker, and I think it was the perfect choice for art on this. I think he really pulled it off.
And you may be able to convince me. I'm not a huge Federici fan. I think it is a bit pencil heavy, but as you said, I think it works for very specific things. Last God, even the War World stuff, and back with Aquaman when I first saw him, a lot of stuff that's epic and big. He does a good job with, and it's weird because some of the stuff in this I think is outstanding, like some of the better art that I've seen in a bit, but then some pulls me back, and it's kind of that pull with it. But you're right, it gives you a tone, and that's really a big important thing with art. When you first open it up, you get the tone, dark, and it really does fit the story. You're fully right on board with that.
Yeah, I like the choice there. It felt like a bold choice, and I think it's going to really pay off for them. Another thing that I really like about this, Mark Waid, to his credit, is taking a lot of smaller characters and certainly highlighting them in this story. None more so than Damian Wayne, not really a smaller character, but there are so many Robins out there, and Damian's kind of found his niche within the DC Comics universe. I've never seen him be a leader like this. We've certainly seen him lead the Teen Titans, but he's always kind of a dickhead. He's always zinging people, never takes anything seriously. But the world is about to die. They don't even know what's going on. Batman is in deep, deep trouble. Apparently he died. They brought him back with some Lazarus resin, and he's having to be a leader, and seeing him take things seriously and be that really strategic leader that's breaking the teams apart based on strengths and weaknesses and who should go do what. It felt really good for the character, and I've never seen Damian highlighted like this. I thought it was excellent.
And it's true, and it's coming off of Joshua Williamson's Robin book, which actually started to progress the character a bit as well. But this, you're right, usually when you get Damian, you get the dickhead Damian who's going to start being a jerk, and everybody's going to roll their eyes and not listen to him. But because Batman's somewhat incapacitated, tells everybody, because at one point they are looking towards Batman, and tells everybody, and not once does Damian get angry at anybody. He makes fun of Monkey Prince a little, but that was kind of more strategic deal. And listen, we have a plan going, and I don't have time to, deal with that. But this wasn't the dickhead Damian. This was fully, and like you said, he is a smaller character only because he's 5'4", but he ended up really rising up to this, and really shows that from here on out, people might start looking to him for more of a leadership role like this, not just, oh, he's Batman's son and he's a jerk. And I think that's great for, characters within the universe, but for people who are Damian fans, which I'm a huge Damian fan. I love him, and I thought that was really good and really well played out in this book.
The other character that he really highlights, I was surprised. I think a lot of people were worried about Monkey Prince, but Monkey Prince is kind of the point of view character for the reader. He's the character you can understand. He's going, what is going on here? And Damian's a little bit crazy, and he's trying to comfort this character, Black Alice, and whatever. And I think it was a bold choice by Mark Waid to use that character to have people kind of relate to and set another tone for the comic book, and kind of setting him up for some type of really big role in the future of this event. It was pulled off really well. I don't personally care about Monkey Prince, but I wasn't turned off by this at all, and I'm more interested in the character after seeing it.
Yeah, and I think most people were worried about Monkey Prince being in this because not many people are reading the Monkey Prince solo book by Gene Luen Yang. I am. I like it, but I like it in a goofy kind of all ages type way. And then to get into this, I was worried how would that tone fit? And you end up having Mark Waid treat it seriously, which I like. But the point of view character that he is using here is great because Monkey Prince isn't involved with a lot of these characters, so he's going to have the questions. He's going to end up wanting to know what's going on while we do as well. So I think that that is a really good choice. And he is a nice guy. Marcus is his name. And even in this, you see him comforting Black Alice. All of these, he's a really good character. And I like that this might end up elevating or at least having people check out that solo book. But like I said, not as dark as this. It's more of a lighthearted deal, but you do get a lot of the setup that's in this. And even so, Mark Waid does a good job of giving you, you know, the basis of it and the basics, because a lot of it is coming out of that with the King Firebull and all that stuff.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of DC characters that, you know, aren't the Trinity or Justice League, like maybe you're a Blue Devil fan, Blue Beetle, Cyborg, stuff like that, Power Girl, they're all heavily featured in this comic book, and it felt really refreshing that he did it well. A lot of people haven't pulled that off lately. Another cool thing in this is there's two enormous battles going on in the middle of this comic book. You have a big battle going on at the Tower of Fate, and then you have another battle going on at Ra's al Ghul's like fortress or whatever. And they feel really epic. The art really pulls it off, and it feels very, very dangerous for the characters. We get the two sidekicks for King Firebull that are coming in there, and they feel really, really powerful, and they feel very deadly. That was the big thing. It just felt really epic, and the battles were really fun.
Yeah, and I think that what Mark Waid is playing here, where you have characters like Cyborg that we haven't seen in a while, and Blue Beetle as a solo book, but still, you end up where everybody is not really sure how their powers are being affected, and then they're going against villains who most people reading this will not know who the Silverhorn King is. So that makes it more of a threat. This isn't like, oh, we've seen this fight before, they can take care of him. It's more of a, you know, a mystery and more of a wild card type deal. And I think that that does make it feel more dangerous. And again, like you said, the Federici art does make it look epic. These battles, even with wolves and things, they kind of veer towards a magical type fantasy deal that he's real good at. I mean, he is really good at that. So they do feel epic and dangerous.
So you mentioned that there's mysteries and transformations going on. And I think that was one of the big selling points. That's certainly one of the things that DC was advertising, besides just Mark Waid doing this event. And you see like these little hints about something's going on. Maybe Batman's eyes are starting to glow green. Maybe when Power Girl uses her power or whatever, something seems to like come out of her eyes or whatever. But then when you finally see that Batman transformation in full, the splash page, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I am tired of the superhero mashups. I'm tired of all that kind of stuff. But if you can deliver it on this scale, you have my attention.
Yeah. And I even said when I was reviewing this on our podcast, the idea of that panel where Batman is there in that looks better than a lot of covers that we get in its interior art. I mean, it looks crazy and it gets you excited. It also kind of throws in a bit of the darkness that we just had. So what's going on there? Everything is up in the air, which is intriguing and exciting. I do worry about what we're going to find out because, as you're saying, even Supergirl mentions that her powers are turned upside down. I certainly want to know more about that. I really do. The idea that now the darkness gives her the power, it's crazy, but it's exciting. And that's what a first issue is supposed to do, is get you, and especially in Alpha, get you intrigued by the mystery of it all.
Yeah, so those transformations, I was skeptical. Mark Waid and Ricardo Federici certainly sold me on that one. We do have the big villain, and he does make his debut, at least in this series, at the very end, crashing in on Damian Wayne, King Firebull. I don't know much about this character. It's a pretty good design, but I honestly think the lackeys look a little bit better.
Yeah, they do. They look more big and crazy. And the only thing that you really need to know, especially stuff from the Monkey Prince deal, is that King Firebull, he's just mad at Nezha, who was his kind of adopted father, and he just wants to destroy the world. And this is what is the result is. But he really is triggered by Nezha, who we had some of the heroes going and trying to take down as well. So there's that interconnected story. So it's pretty well done.
Like I said, color me impressed. I give this like an 8.5 out of 10, something like that. I thought it was a really good comic book. Absolutely worth your time and money investing in this. Jim, is there anything that I kind of missed out that you thought was like really good, or maybe that you needed to point out as maybe something that wasn't good?
No, the only thing that I would say at the end, and I'm a little lower in the score than you, though. I think talking to you even before we started recording, I'm edging up. I'm about a 7.5, but that's more, I think, because I was hyped. I really wanted everything set here because I'm a little bit worried going forward, because after this, we're going to get a bunch of anthology books with vignettes and things like that, but stories written by, such writers as Alyssa Wong, the Clune Reg, G. Willow Wilson, some that aren't really hitting well for me and a lot of other people. So, yeah, Leah Williams. And so I'm a little worried. It's almost like I wanted Mark Waid to tell the whole story here so then they could screw it, and then he comes back, because he'll be back with the Omega and also the Batman versus Robin #5 that goes in here too. But as a single issue here, it does set up a lot. I also think that it actually improves with each read. I did notice that as well. When I reread it for me and you to talk about it, I did enjoy it a little more once you get the lay of the land and things like that, and realize that you're not going to be told everything in an alpha issue. That's something that I have to get through my head all the time. But overall, no, I think that Mark Waid does a really good job grabbing a lot of stories into this one. I mean, this involves stuff from Robin, Monkey Prince, the Shadow War. I mean, you have so many things going into this, and he does a good job of compressing it all, making it easy to understand in a quick way, and off you go. And it looks impressive when you end up having these battles, as you said.
I'm with you. I also am concerned that this just isn't a Mark Waid vehicle moving forward. And maybe Mark Waid and Gene Yang. Gene Yang is not a superstar writer. He's not like the greatest comic writer of all times, but he's competent, and it feels like he can work in a team or whatever. But they are absolutely taking far too many of their mediocre D, F-list talents and throwing them on this event and really watering it down. It's like the DC-ification of a comic book event. They always do this every single time. So even if the main book is good and is exciting, you're going to get so much crap stuffed into it by really lesser talents that it kind of ends up watering it down. So yeah, I agree. Absolutely something you have to watch out for.
And I worry, because what DC tries to do is he tries to make the event elevate the writers instead of the writers elevate the event. And that is right there with the list of some of the writers. Now there's some good ones there as well. So hopefully those all play out. But I'm worried about them leaning on some of these same old writers that haven't really proven anything.
As an example, what Jim and I were just talking about, just a couple of days after this issue released, DC Comics decided to let everyone know, not only are you getting this big Lazarus Planet event from Mark Waid, we're also going to take some writers you've never heard of, and they're going to start incorporating new trans and non-binary characters into the DC Comics universe. As if Lazarus Planet and DC Comics events need more things stuffed in there that are going to turn people off. It's what DC Comics do every time now. They're trying to get over bad characters and bad writers by attaching them to things that are cool and are probably going to work. Definitely check this video out if you're unaware. There's also a link in the video description.